Hello, hello. This is Stephanie from Our Natural Wisdom. So good to be with you today for another 15 minutes of soulful gardening wisdom. Thanks for joining. Today we are going to be extending our gardening love to our native grasses. I've talked a lot about some flowers up until now, but I really wanted to share some information about grasses with you. Hi, hello, thanks for joining. So grasses are such powerful healers, both for your garden landscape. Hello, hello, thank you for joining. Grasses are powerful healers for the earth itself and for nature, but also for you. So we're going to be talking about some of the practical gardening guidance about grasses, integrating native grasses into your garden, your home garden, but also some mystical wisdom about the healing that grasses are offering to you. And I'm joined here with my friend, Little Blue Stem. We have lots of Little Blue Stem. It's our native grass of choice here, predominantly throughout our garden. I'm going to be talking a bit with you about how we integrated it, wove it throughout our garden space. But first, I wanted to just give you some information about grasses. So, when we talk about grass, we often think of turf grass, like Kentucky bluegrass, or we think of those big ornamental grasses that a lot of gardens are using for ornamental purposes, like the ribbon grass and the really tall grass, the feather grass, and even Phragmites, which is an invasive grass that has really impacted a lot of our wetland environments. And so it's so important to start bringing back our native grasses into our home gardens so that they have a fighting chance as they are dealing with all of the challenges of the non-native ornamental grasses that are rapidly invading our native landscapes. So grasses are super important to, native grasses are super important to our environment because they have these fibrous roots that are very dense. They are awesome for bringing more nutrients into the soil, more organic matter into the soil, and providing for more water infiltration. They are especially good at building up organic matter, especially in a home garden landscape where it's so important to have really high quality soil. And so much of what we're doing when we are planting with natives is restoring the soil structure. It's not about digging it up and putting in and amending soil. It's about bringing back the health to the soil that exists, the native soil. And of course, who better to do that than native plants and native grasses especially. Grasses, native grasses, are such awesome plants to integrate into your home garden because they are super hardy, like really resilient, almost bomb-proof. They have evolved in very difficult landscapes, very dry conditions. They're very drought tolerant. They're also, many native grasses are able to withstand a great amount of heat. So this makes them especially beneficial to have, not only for providing a beautiful landscape within your native garden, but also continuing to provide all of the good stuff that native plants offer our native insects, our native birds, our wildlife in general. A couple of the plants that I wanted to highlight today, in addition to our little blue stem here, which is I'd say about 2 to 3 feet high. It doesn't start out that way, of course. In the spring, you cut it all the way down to the ground, and then it regenerates every year. They also have these beautiful flowers, and one of the reasons that I really wanted to talk about grasses today is because our little blue stem is in full flower, and they are so pretty, you guys. We don't think of grasses as having flowers, right? But they sure do, and they are so lovely, especially when they're planted in groups. We also here in our garden have a couple of other grasses. We have Indian grass, which is a very tall grass. It's suitable more for like providing a nice screen, a place where you would typically plant a tall hedge, for instance. The Indian grass can get up to like 6 feet high. We also have big blue stem, which looks very different than little blue stem. They don't really look alike, so I'm not sure why they're both called blue stem, honestly. But the big blue stem is also a very tall grass, 6 feet high, maybe even taller. And we have side oats grama as well, and sea oats, which is another type of native grass. And here we're in the Midwest. Hi, thanks for joining. We are in northern Illinois, so the plants that I'm talking about today that I'm sharing with you are native here, but these are plants that really, they evolve throughout much of the upper Midwest landscapes and the Great Plains, landscapes with the big prairie areas. So all of these grasses are most likely native to the place where you are if you are in the northern United States. There are, let's see, just looking at my notes here. Oh, of course. Well, we want to talk about the benefits to our wildlife. And something that a lot of people don't realize is that native grasses are host plants for several butterfly and moth species. So this means that they hang their cocoons, their chrysalis, off of the native grasses. We have found monarch chrysalides on our little blue stem grass, which is so beautiful to see. And so I just want you to know that they provide a lot of important habitat and structure, and also nutrients for a variety of wildlife, including birds. We had a lovely little warbler of some type that was flitting around on our little blue stem this morning. She was so pretty. I don't know how to distinguish warblers from each other. There's so many of them. But so yeah, I wanted to just let you know how important native grasses are to the landscape, and they really are healers, okay? They have some of our native grasses have really deep root systems. Switchgrass is another native grass. It has a root system that goes about 9 feet into the earth. So when we have these deep fibrous root systems, it really benefits the soil. It helps build more organic matter into the soil. It helps water infiltrate. So that helps all of your native garden. Now, moving on to the mystical wisdom of native grasses. The thing that speaks to so many people about native grasses is they are a sensory experience. And this is something that can bring so much wonder and magic to your native garden. Grasses have that flowing when they're moving in the breeze. It's so lovely. I mean, we have people stop and look at our grasses as they're flowing in the breeze, as they're walking by our gardens, and just, it brings up some very deep sense of comfort. It's like looking out at a big field of wheat that's blowing in the breeze. This is the kind of aesthetic that native grasses can bring for you. It's very soothing, it's very calming, and the texture is, it's a visual texture, but of course it's also an actual tactile texture. So we're able to experience this and all of the beauty that they are offering us. Now, why is this important for our intuition and for easing anxiety? It brings you into that place of presence that I talk about so often, that is so important for us, especially if you are struggling with anxiety or a sense of disconnection. The grasses really provide such a present space for you, this opportunity to really connect with your senses. And when we connect with our senses in a place of presence, it opens up the doorway to connect with your intuitive sense as well. And grasses are offering this to you. I think really, for me and for a lot of people, one of the most amazing things about grasses is the sound. They provide a soundscape in your native garden that is unlike any other sound. When you hear them rustling in the breeze, it is just so beautiful. It almost sounds like water flowing. And this brings such a soothing environment to your home to be able to just step out your door and enjoy that from right where you live is just a beautiful thing. Really deeply healing. They are year-round. We leave ours up year-round. We do cut them back in the spring so that they can regrow, but we leave them up all winter, and it provides that connection with the sensory experience all winter long. One of the most beautiful things is when they get frost on them or little bits of ice, and then you can hear them blowing in the breeze and you hear the tinkling of the ice. It is so lovely, you guys. I really want you to experience that too. A really quick note on how to easily integrate native grasses into your home garden is because they come in plugs, they have these very dense fibrous roots, so they come in like chunks. And you can also plant them from seed, of course. But if you have a grown plant that you are planting throughout your landscape, you can put them in chunks throughout. Just weave them into your existing garden, and they will, when they grow up and when they provide this fluidity, this cohesiveness throughout your garden, it provides a very natural look, and it ties everything together. So many of our gardens, throughout the years, we've been taught that we need to plant in like a group and then have a bunch of bare soil around it, and then plant in another group and have a bunch of bare soil around it. Well, of course, that's not nature's way, right? So if you are interested in a more natural look, if you're interested in incorporating more native plants into your garden, I highly recommend using native grasses. Let's see, I'm just wondering if there's anything else that I wanted to mention. There's the cohesiveness, the planting them throughout your garden that I was talking about. This is, it's described in a freebie that I have that you can access through the link in bio. It's a free guide to healing textures within your garden, and I talk about developing that within that freebie, so you can check that out through the link in bio. And in terms of the simple mindfulness practice that you can experience with grasses, I encourage you to see the grasses that are within the landscape. This is a wonderful time of year here. Autumn is a great time of year to really appreciate the diversity and the beauty of grasses throughout natural landscapes. So be aware of the grasses that you're seeing, and when you see them, remind yourself to breathe. Breathe with the grasses. Allow yourself to flow and enter into that space with nature that is so abundant and flowing and beautiful. And this is a lovely mindfulness practice, a mystical practice. Remember, as you connect more deeply with your physical senses, you are able to open the doorway wider to connect with your intuitive sense, to receive messages from nature, to hear your beautiful soul speak, and to hear the wisdom that you have deep within you. It is there, and you can reawaken it with native plants. And the native grasses, like Little Blue Stem here, are offering to help you with that. I hope that you enjoyed today's class, and I look forward to joining you again next Thursday at 9:30 here on Instagram Live. I also want you to know that I have a very special free live masterclass coming up. It is called Hearing Your Garden Speak, and in that masterclass I'm going to be sharing the 3 keys to a soulful garden that eases your anxiety, enhances your intuition, and helps heal Mother Earth. I encourage you to check that out in the link in bio and reserve your seat today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.